Veda Vyasa, troubled by dreams of the Kurukshetra war, sought to understand their meaning through meditation and prophecy. He requested Ganesha's help to write the story, thus beginning the narration of the Mahabharata. The 8 Vasus, cursed by sage Vashishtu to be born as humans for stealing his cow, implored Ganga, who was herself cursed by Brahma, to grant them immediate death after their birth. Ganga married King Shantanu and gave birth to the 8 Vasus. She released 7 of them into the river immediately after birth to grant them salvation, but the 8th son, Devavratha, was saved by Shantanu. Devavratha received training from Parashurama, acquired devastating weapons, and became a great warrior with divine missiles. Shantanu desired to marry Satyavati, but her father, Dasharaja, insisted that her sons should inherit the throne. To ensure his father's happiness, Devavratha renounced his claim to the throne and took a vow of lifelong celibacy, thus becoming known as Bhishma. Following the marriage of Shantanu and Satyavati, they had 2 sons, Chitrangada and Vichitravirya. Chitrangada grew up to be a warrior but lacked devotion to Dharma, and Vichitravirya showed little interest in warfare or moral studies. Concerned about the incompetence of his sons, Shantanu died unhappily. Chitrangada died in battle against another warrior of the same name, while Vichitravirya indulged in pleasures, neglecting his duties. Observing this behavior and understanding the need for a successor to protect the future of Hastinapura, Bhishma abducted 3 princesses from Kashi, Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika from their Swayamvara. Although Ambika and Ambalika were married to Vichitravirya, Amba, who was in love with Salva, was released. However, rejected by both Salva and Bhishma, she sought refuge with Parashurama. This led to a fierce battle between Parashurama and Bhishma that lasted 21 days, nearly leading to catastrophic destruction. With great difficulty and the help of the Vasus, Bhishma managed to secure a momentary victory, acknowledging his mistake and accepting defeat. Parashurama granted Bhishma the boon that no one in the world could defeat him as long as he wielded a weapon. With Bhishma engaged in battle against Parashurama, Vichitravirya's indulgences spiraled out of control. He succumbed to temptations of alcohol and liaisons with courtesans, neglecting his duties not only as a ruler but also as a husband. Despite warnings from royal advisors and counselors about his declining health and weakening body, their efforts proved futile. Shortly after Bhishma returned victorious from the battlefield against Parashurama, Vichitravirya died from tuberculosis, plunging Hastinapura into mourning. The kingdom lost a young ruler whose negligent behavior had wreaked havoc on his life. The absence of a ruler posed a severe threat to the stability of the kingdom. Internal strife for power ensued, and criminal activities increased, providing neighboring kingdoms with an opportunity to invade. Recognizing the dire consequences of the kingless state, Satyavati approached Bhishma, explaining that the survival of the kingdom depended on a proper heir, and lamented that her son Vichitravirya, rendered incompetent by his father's selfish desires, had caused such disasters. She urged Bhishma to immediately ascend the throne to prevent further calamity. Torn by intense pain, Bhishma explained that forsaking his vow of celibacy would be more difficult than relinquishing his body. With a heavy heart and reluctance, Satyavati, to prevent the curse of childlessness and the descent of the family deities into hell, requested Bhishma to sire sons on the widows of Vichitravirya, according to her command. Since the day Bhishma made his vow, no situation had arisen that tested his resolve. After Vichitravirya's death, Bhishma was the sole remaining protector of the Bharat dynasty, with the responsibility of protecting the kingdom also resting on him. Even if Bhishma had chosen to sire heirs as a king, the world would not blame him. However, unable to consent due to his steadfast loyalty to his vow, and seeing Satyavati agonized by the potential extinction of the Kuru dynasty due to her son's incompetence, Bhishma was in a dilemma. Bhishma then explained to Satyavati that there was a righteous way to ensure the continuation of the Kuru dynasty without breaking his vow. He suggested calling upon a qualified Brahmin to perform the practice of niyoga. He informed her that this method had been blessed by Manu for the preservation of royal lineages, whereby Vichitravirya's widows could be impregnated to produce heirs. Hearing this, Satyavati realized it was time to share her past with Bhishma and began to recount her story. One day, King Uparichara Vasu of Chedi kingdom went hunting in the forest, and upon seeing animals mating, he was overcome with lust. The semen fell into the Kalindi river, where Adrika, a celestial nymph cursed to live as a fish, swallowed it. As a result, she conceived, and when the fish was caught in a fisherman's net and cut open, a baby girl and a baby boy were found inside. Surprised by this miracle, the fisherman informed his leader, Dasharaja, who gave the boy to the king and kept the girl for himself. As she was found by the Kalindi river, she was named Kali. However, due to being born from a fish, she had a strong fishy odor and was called Matsyagandhi, used to ferry travelers across the river in her boat. Parashara Muni, a sage with a deep desire for divine vision, was on a pilgrimage when he reached the banks of the Yamuna River. While crossing the river on a boat operated by Matsyagandhi, despite his spiritual accomplishments, he felt a strong attraction to her and expressed his feelings. Was surprised, wondering how a sage could feel such attraction, especially since her body naturally emitted a fishy odor due to being born from a fish. She questioned whether such desires were appropriate for a sage. She wanted to remain a virgin until she could be properly wedded and bear children through her husband, as it was the righteous path. Despite being a fisherman's daughter, she reminded that ethics and decorum are equal for everyone, and if her virginity were compromised by Parashara's wishes, it would not only betray her parents' trust, but also if her father were to unknowingly offer her as a virgin for marriage. He would commit a sin, and she would be betraying her future husband. Thus, she did not want to be part of such sins. Despite appearing like a fisherman's woman and emitting a fishy odor from her body, Matsyagandhi's knowledge of Dharma deeply impressed Parashara. He was attracted to her, suggesting that there must be a reason for the greater good, and he promised that her virginity would remain intact and that she would not incur any sin from their union. Matsyagandhi expressed her skepticism about Parashara's intentions, questioning if sacrificing her life for the so-called welfare of the world was justifiable. Parashara, understanding her concerns, began to meditate right there on the boat to seek the deeper reasons, revealing his insights to Matsyagandhi as he meditated. Since the beginning of creation, time has been divided into Manvantaras and Mahayugas. One Manvantara consists of 71 Mahayugas. One Mahayuga consists of 4 Yugas. Each Yuga consists of lakhs of years, and each Mahayuga has a Veda Vyasa. Parashara Maharshi, born in the 26th Mahayuga of the 7th Manvantara, is Veda Vyasa of 26th Mahayuga. Veda Vyasa is not just a person, but a title for someone who must fulfill a great responsibility. The first yuga, Satya Yuga, spans 17,28,000 human years, during which Dharma stands on all four legs. Humans naturally possess control over their senses and achieve death at will. The second yuga, Treta Yuga, lasts 12,96,000 years. In this era, Dharma stands on three legs. Human beings begin to harbor selfish thoughts, focusing more on themselves and starting to judge the virtues and faults of others. The ability of death at will is lost, and life expectancy decreases to 10,000 years. The third yuga, Dwapara Yuga, lasts 8,64,000 human years, during which Dharma stands on two legs. In this age, humans often forsake Dharma, engaging in various acts of adharma in pursuit of material pleasures. Negative emotions such as desire, anger, attachment, and greed lead to further moral decline, and human lifespan reduces to 1,000 years. The next age is Kali Yuga, which spans 4,32,000 human years. In this era, Dharma stands on one leg while adharma strides on three. During Kali Yuga, humans live for about 100 years, marked by anger, dishonesty, and selfishness, with limited intellect. In such a self-centered age, rather than seeking knowledge about divinity and Dharma, people regard the pursuit of transient sensual pleasures as the ultimate purpose of life. Unable to tolerate the success of others, individuals use their intellect to support their selfish and envious thought, committing actions accordingly. These actions often do not yield results within their current lifespan, leading them to be reborn after death to experience the consequences of their karma. Thus, they continue to take birth repeatedly to face the outcomes of their actions from previous lives, without ever attaining moksha. The souls of these short-sighted humans are perpetually trapped in the cycle of life and death. To liberate these souls from this cycle and guide them towards moksha by uniting them with Paramatma, Lord Vishnu incarnates as Vyasa at the end of every Dwapara Yuga. Vyasa undertakes the profound task of dividing the Vedas, which were complexly created by the Lord Brahma beyond the understanding of ordinary humans, simplifying them so that they are comprehensible to everyone who reads them. This noble work of making the Vedas accessible to all is the mission of Veda Vyasa. For the birth of such a great soul, a sage of immense penance and virtue is essential, but equally important is the woman who can withstand his radiance. This is a multi-level nested narrative which is part of the Mahabharata story that Veda Vyasa is narrating to Ganesha. Within this narrative, Satyavati, Vyasa's mother, is explaining her past to Bhishma, revealing the secret of Vyasa's birth. In her story, sage Parashara is explaining the knowledge of time to Satyavati. Born from the womb of Adrika, a celestial being cursed by Brahma to live as a fish, and liberated from her curse due to the virility of King Uparichara Vasu, Parashara enlightened her that Matsya Gandhi is the one who will be giving birth of Veda Vyasa of this Mahayuga. Matsya Gandhi, who had lived as an ordinary fisherman's daughter, was filled with wonder listening to the cycles of time, the workings of ages, and the secrets of reincarnation. Lost in the profound knowledge being shared, she forgot to row the boat, and tears of joy streamed from her eyes as she became completely absorbed in the revelation. Matsya Gandhi, feeling immensely fortunate at the prospect of becoming the mother of a child who would impart wisdom to guide the world through the ages, joyfully accepted Parashara's request. Sage Parashara, with his ascetic power, created a mystical fog around the boat and transported her to an island. There, they united physically. Impressed by her knowledge and devotion to Dharma, Sage Parashara blessed Matsyagandhi, removing her fishy odor and granting her a divine fragrance that would always surround her. He proclaimed that from now on, she would be known not as Matsyagandhi, but as Satyavati. Bestowing this boon, and he departed. Astonishingly, the process of pregnancy and childbirth, which usually takes 9 months, was completed in moments, and Satyavati gave birth to a boy instantly. She named him Krishna Dvaipayana, due to his dark complexion and his birth on an island. This boy, without the need for any formal learning, was imbued with the essence of all the Vedas from birth. Possessing complete and comprehensive knowledge, Krishna Dvaipayana grew into adulthood in an instant. With deep respect, he bowed to Satyavati and assured her that whenever she thought of him in the future, he would appear before her, and now he was leaving to perform penance, and he departed from the island. Revealing this to Bhishma, Satyavati informed him that if she wished, Vyasa could bestow children upon Ambika and Ambalika. Bhishma, pleased with this revelation, gave his consent. As soon as Satyavati thought of him, Veda Vyasa appeared before her.